ربي سبحانه وتعالى يقول أفلا يتدبرون القرآن ولو كان من عند غير الله لوجدوا فيه اختلافا كثيرا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alright, and it is said that it is the 14th surah to ever be revealed. It's been said that it's the 14th surah to ever be revealed after Surat Al Asr. The second opinion, primarily held by Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, in one of his two opinions. How can Ibn Abbas have two opinions on the same issue? We say sometimes Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, one of his opinions is correct and the other opinions is weak. He never said it. There's something wrong with the chain of narration. And sometimes he may have two opinions in the issue. One of them was his early opinion and the other one was his later opinion. Yani he changed opinions. Alright? Sometimes one of his opinions is narrated by one of his top students, and the other opinion is narrated by some of his lesser known students. Which one do we take by? The top students. Alright? If all the top students agree that he had one opinion, then we take by that. So this is how Ibn Abbas can have two opinions. But Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, along with Anas ibn Malik, the servant of the Prophet ﷺ, and Qatadah ibn Di'ama as-Sadusi, who was a student of both of them, they all had the opinion that, these three, they had the opinion that it is Madani. And Ibn Ashur rahimahullah says that the correct opinion is that it is Madani. But Ibn Kathir says that it is Makki. Kathir says that it is what? It is Makki. Na'am. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in this verse, He mentions 11 verses. 11 verses. In these 11 verses, remember in Surat Al-Zalzala, what did we say? How many verses in Surat Al-Zalzala? Huh? How many verses in Surat Al-Zalzala? We said there's what? We said there's khilaf. Is it 8 or is it 9? Alright. We said that some of the scholars, they classify لِيُرَوْا أَعْمَالَهُم as a verse by itself. Alright? But Surat Al Adiyat, there is no khilaf. 11 verses. Okay? And there are 40 words in this surah. And 166 letters. 166 letters. Very close to Surah Al-Fatiha. Alright? How many letters did we say Surah Al-Fatiha has? How many letters does it have? How many letters does Surah Al-Fatiha have? Surah Al-Fatiha has 156, according to some of the qira'at, and according to other qira'at, 155, depending on Maliki Yawmiddin or Maliki Yawmiddin. Surah Al Adiyat has 166. Some of you guys may be wondering, what are all these stats? Why do we have to know all these stats? I tell you what, when you guys watch basketball and soccer and all this stuff, you guys memorize all the stats, don't you? Why do you memorize it? What's the point of it? What better way than to memorize the stats of the Quran? Right? Imagine your head was filled, stat sheet after stat sheet. They always come up with a new record. This guy broke this record and that record. And what about the Quran? When you're in love with something, you're going to try to find out everything about it. Even something that is so detailed. And that's why the scholars, they never left anything in the Quran except that they mentioned. Even the letters they counted. Alright? Even the letters they counted. And I previously told you guys the story of one of the scholars in Yemen. When he was asked a question about the book Tafseer Al-Jalalain. To read Tafseer Al-Jalalain, do I have to have wudu for it? Tafseer Al-Jalalain is one of the shortest tafsir books out there. Alright? Alright, it's like a matan. Very short. Doesn't dwell too much into the deeper meanings. Alright, mentions and moves on. So we've said in our fiqh class that if the book is more than 50% Quran, then you have to make wudu. And if it's less than 50%, you don't have to make wudu. So the scholar was like, wow, that's a good question. Tafseer Al Jalalain is a short tafsir book. Do you actually have to make wudu? And this is the first book that you study in tafsir. What do you do here? You know what he did? He started counting every single letter in Tafseer Al Jalalain and every single letter in the Quran. He said in the first juz they were exactly the same. The second juz exactly the same. Third exactly the same. 5 juzes exactly the same. 10 juzes the same. 15, 20, 25, until he reached Surat Al When he reached Surat Al tafsir kind of, tafsir was more than the Quran. Then he gave the verdict that you don't have to have wudu to read Tafseer Al Jalalain because it's less than 50%. But look at that dedication though, counting every single letter in the Quran. SubhanAllah. So now it is imperative that we memorize the stats of the of the Quran, because that shows our love for it. Now, is it important compared to its meanings? No, we're not saying that. What's more important? Memorizing it, 1, 2, understanding it. All right. And number 3, what is number 3? Memorize the Quran. Understand the Quran was number 3. Number 3 is more important than both, because if you don't have number 3, there's no point of doing both. Number 3 is acting upon it. You memorize, you understand, then you act upon it. And the most important is number 3. Sufyan ibn Uyaynah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said of the verse in the Quran, سأصرف عن آياتي الذين يتكبرون في الأرض بغير الحق. He said these are the people who memorize the Quran but did not act upon it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will what? Will remove the verses from them, the verses that they learned and that they knew about. So acting upon it is more important than what? Memorizing it and understanding it. Naam. Yes.
So
166. Naam. 166. Naam. Inshallah we will continue after as-salah. حان وقت صلاة العصر. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. والعاديات ضبحا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He swears upon Al-Adiyat. And Al-Adiyat, according to the majority of the scholars, and brothers and sisters, please take notes, because like we said, we have no text for a tafsir. Okay, we're just going to be reading off the mushaf, and everything that we say is going to be held, you guys are going to be held responsible on the exam. Alright, so please take accurate notes. Last week you guys either did not take accurate notes or there's something else wrong, right? Naam. And I see that there's a lot of sisters missing, many of them, over 10 plus. So tell the other sisters that you should get your notes from your friends, because you miss one day, you're missing a whole chunk. That might be like 20% of your grade, who knows? Because tafsir is not going to be that long. Alright, we should be done with it in a few weeks, inshallah. Bidnillah azza wa jal. So you miss one day, it's big, it's huge. You guys with me? Naam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears upon Al-Adiyat. And Al-Adiyat, according to the majority of scholars, it means fast speedy horses. Fast, speedy horses. Alright? You know, in the old days, you know how they used to send mails? Alright? The fastest of the fastest of the fastest of the fastest. Right? He would be given like a letter, and he would go 200 miles an hour as fast as he can. And the horseman goes fast for like an hour, 2 hours, however, 100 miles, 200 miles. And then there would be a station, another horse would be waiting there. He would take the message or the letter from him and go to the next station, and then go to the next station. It goes from Medina to Damascus in one day. Smart idea, right? Real quick. But what do they use? Fast horses, and at the same time, horsemen that are what? That can endure. And they have stations set up. Alright, that's how they used to send like quick messages and quick mails. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing upon these horses, and this is according to the majority of the scholars. Some scholars, they say that this is referring to the camels that are used the night you're leaving Muzdalifah, or the night you're leaving Arafah on your way to Muzdalifah. You guys know on Hajj, there are 5 days of Hajj, right? 5 or 6 days. There's the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, or the 13th. The 13th is optional. So 5 mandatory days, the sixth day is optional. Now, the 10th day, or the 9th day, the entire morning, up until the evening, you're going to be in Arafah, on the 9th day of the Hijjah. When we're out here fasting, asking Allah for dua, what are the pilgrims doing? They're in Arafah, asking Allah for dua. As soon as the sun sets, you're not allowed to pray Maghrib or Isha in Arafah. You have to leave Arafah and go to Muzdalifah and pray Maghrib and Isha over there. Even if Maghrib and Isha, even if Maghrib time passes and Isha time comes in, you're still not allowed to pray Maghrib. And some Hujjaj, may Allah forgive us in them, they believe that if you do not pray, if Maghrib passes, alright, Maghrib passes, you have to pray Maghrib in Arafah. No, we say you combine between Maghrib and Isha. So Maghrib and Isha, you combine it in Muzdalifah. Even if Maghrib passes, it doesn't matter if your bus comes late or whatnot. And an interesting fact that just came to mind is in the Islamic calendar, the night follows the day, or does the day follow the night? The day follows the night except one day, and that is the day of Arafah. The day of Arafah, the night follows the day. You guys with me? Arafah starts on, the eighth day, Maghrib time. That's when Arafah starts. Alright? Officially, Arafah, you're supposed to go there after sunrise. But from a number standpoint, Arafah starts Maghrib of the 8th day. Okay? That entire 8th night, you're supposed to stay in Mina. On the 9th day, you go to Arafah. Maghrib Arafah is supposed to end, right? Arafah does not end at Maghrib, it ends at Fajr. It ends at Fajr. Why is that? Because the Prophet ﷺ, he told us, Man ata Arafah. Alright, whoever comes to Arafah during its night or during its day, alright, then he has completed his Hajj. So if you miss out going to Arafah during the day, you can go to Arafah during the night of it. And the night of Arafah is not the night before, it's the night after. So that night takes the what? Takes the ruling of Arafah. Some people, may Allah forgive us in them, Hadahumullah, may Allah guide us in them, they do something called Al-Hajj Al-Sari', express Hajj. Right? You finish Hajj in 12 hours. Alright? But you pay a lot of fines. I tell you, you pay 7 fees or 8 fees. They leave Medina at around Maghrib time or Asr time. Right? Asr time on the day of Arafah, already a day and a half passed by. Medina, Mecca, usually a 4-hour drive. But on that day, there's a lot of checkpoints, a lot of stuff. It might take 8 hours, it might take 10 hours. And when you leave like 6 p.m., alright, you get there like 4 a.m. or 3 a.m., whatever it may be. Okay? You get there 3 a.m., you go into Arafah. Do you have to stay in Arafah? If you're in there for a split second, you're good to go. Alright? Alright, if you have both feet in, you're good to go. You're both feet in, all right? You hit the pile line, you're good to go. You go into Arafah, they leave right away. They leave right away. They go straight to the haram. They make their little tawaf. They make their little sa'i, and they go straight back to Medina. Okay, what happened to Mina, staying in Mina for 3 nights? What happened to staying in Muzdalifah for a night? What happened to sacrificing? What happened to this? What happened to that? If you don't do those things in Hajj, all right, they're not pillars, they are obligations. If you don't do these obligations, right, you are supposed to pay a fine. Okay, you're supposed to pay a fine. So what do? They pay off that fine and they're back in Medina like, Alhamdulillah, I've done my Hajj. I've completed my 5th pillar of Islam. Now if you look at it from a validity standpoint, it's a valid Hajj because he met all 4 pillars. Hajj is 4 pillars. Doing Ihram from the Miqat, Tawaf, Sa'i, and going to Arafah. They go to Arafah 2 hours before the deadline. They do the Tawaf and Sa'i right after, and obviously the Ihram is done beforehand. 12 hours Hajj is done. Or 18 hours Hajj is done. Now the scholars, they say that the person who does this, although their Hajj is valid, they are in what? They are in sin. They are in sin because they are purposely and intentionally leaving off obligatory actions. Anyways, going back, I don't know how we got into this. Alright, when you leave Arafah and on your way to Muzdalifah, alright, the camels that you use, alright, some of the scholars, they say this is Al Adiyat. Al Adiyat. But the majority, they say they are fast horses. Dabha. Dabha means the sound. Alright? You know when a horse is what? Is huffing and puffing, and that sound you hear from the horse. Alright? When it's going really, really fast, that is dabha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing upon this. Then he says, فَالْمُورِيَاتِ قَدْحًا, meaning that when these horses, they race through a rocky, mountainous area, right? Or a rocky area, okay? Because they keep hitting the rocks, they keep hitting it, a fire might come out from it, all right? A fire might come out from it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by this, all right, by this fire as well. This fire that comes out from the movement of these horses on top of rocky or mountainous areas, okay? Not a mountain, but just a rocky area. You know those areas that are like kind of barren and has a lot of rocks, all right? In Medina they have 2 sides to that, all right? And it was one of the 2 sides that protected the Muslims on the day of the trench. Right? Those mountainous areas are protected, and some mountains from the back, and then the trench. Na'am. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, فَالْمُغِيرَاتِ صُبْحًا. Al-Mughirat meaning raids. Raids. Alright? Subha in the morning. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, alright, he used to either send out his raids or he used to command these raids when? During the morning, early morning. During the what? During the early morning. And this is the sunnah, to do everything in the morning. Alright? To do everything in the morning, especially in the early morning. To do your main actions. Whatever you're doing, you go to school, take morning classes, don't take afternoon classes. And definitely not evening. Unless you have, unless you have an excuse or there's no other class. But try your best to get your priorities done in the morning. You do the most important things in the morning, everything else you do what? Later on during the day. The Prophet ﷺ, he used to do this. At the same time, the Prophet ﷺ, what he would do is he would listen to the adhan, and some of the companions afterwards, obviously, they would listen to the opposing army or the people that they're raiding or they're going to war against. He would listen to them. If he hears adhan in the morning, he will not fight them. All right, because that shows that they are what? That they are Muslim. If they don't hear adhan, then they go out and they raid them. When? After Fajr, in the morning, in the early morning. Yes?
Is there like a story that they're actually Muslim, they heard the adhan and they just went back?
What's that?
Was there ever like a significant story where they heard the adhan and they just went back?
Yeah, it happened. It happened. There was one time during the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Alright, that Khalid bin Walid, the Sahabas, they differed whether they heard the adhan or not. Alright, Khalid bin Walid said, I didn't hear no adhan. They went and they raided them. Alright, Allah musta'an. Na'am, فَالْمُغِيرَاتِ صُبْحًا. So al-Mughirat means what? Alright, raids, basically raids. And there was a set number of raids before the battle of Badr. Before the battle of Badr. Alright, na'am. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, فَأَثَرْنَ بِهِ نَقْعًا. You guys notice these ayats, like we mentioned, have no ahkam, for no rulings. And that is why the tafsir of it is very little. If you look at the ayat that have ahkam, the tafsir of it is what? Is a lot. So there's not going to be much tafsir in these ayat because it's just linguistic. What do we benefit from these ayat? One, the meaning of these words. And number two, the lessons learned. Alright? And they mostly deal with the Day of Judgment and so on and so forth. Now, فَأَثَرْنَ بِهِ نَقْعًا. What happens when you raid your opponent, alright, with fast horses? What happens? Dust starts to rise, right? There's a lot of dust. Right? This is فَأَثَرْنَ بِهِ نَقْعًا. Dust starts to rise up in the air. You guys know what happened in the battle of Mu'tah, right? In the 8th year after the Hijrah, when the Prophet ﷺ, he appointed 3 commanders, one after the other. Who can name me the three commanders of the battle of Mu'tah? Na'am. Excellent. Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, Zayd ibn Haritha, Abdullahi ibn Rawaha, and Ja'far ibn Abi Talib. And all 3 were killed during the battle. Then the Muslims, they chose who? The newest Muslim. The newest Muslim, Khalid bin Walid. Khalid bin Walid became Muslim that year. He became Muslim in the 2nd month, Safar, of the 8th year after the Hijrah. And the battle of Mu'tah happened that same year. Khalid bin Walid became the commander of the Muslims. And the Romans, they significantly outnumbered the Muslims by a lot. By a lot. To the point that it was going to be very difficult for them to defeat the Byzantines. But Khalid bin Walid was what? Was a military genius, strategist. One of the few men in the history of mankind that has never lost a battle. Ever. Undefeated. Alright? Undefeated. Imagine going undefeated in your entire life. When he was Muslim and when he was non-Muslim. The only time he faced the Prophet ﷺ was when? During the Battle of Uhud. The Battle of Uhud, there's a difference of opinion between historians. Was it a loss or was it a no decision? Yani nobody won. Because at the end, in the beginning the Muslims won, at the end who won? The Kuffar. Al-Muhim, at the end of the day, it's not a loss. At the very least, we can call it a what? A draw or a no decision or whatever you want to call it. But he never lost. Khalid bin Walid, what he did is he left part of the army the next day. He left part of the army in the rear. And little by little, during the battle, all right, little by little, he started sending out parts of his army to the back. All right. So the Romans, they thought that they were trying to come around or trying to set a trap for them, when Khalid bin Walid had no intent of that. His intent was to what? Was for them to raise a lot of dust, as much dust as they can. فَأَثَرْنَ بِهِ نَقْعًا. Right? They raised so much dust. Not only that, it was coupled with Allahu Akbar and Subhanallah and La ilaha illallah chants. And those kind of chants, what? Those kind of chants kind of put fear into them. So little by little, right? While the battle is going on, he's sending more and more of the army. All right, he's keeping the best commanders around him to hold off the Romans, but he's sending a lot of them in the back. So the dust starts increasing and increasing. The chants start getting louder. So they think that Fatiha is valid, but they should not what? They should not be leading prayers. Naam. All right, what happened to Tanawwu'? Yes, تنوع, اختلاف تنوع. نعم. طيب. So you say that الأخ يحيى, you say that it's اختلاف تنوع. ليش? Because both can be applied. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and human being, how are they the same? Excellent. They are both witnesses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a witness, so can the human being. Although they're not the same, but they both are witnesses to their actions. نعم. تفضل. تفضل. ليس كمثله شيء. نعم, ليس كمثله شيء, لا شك. There is nothing that resembles Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. نعم. وإنه على ذلك لشهيد. We mentioned the two opinions. The first opinion is that is what? That the pronoun here goes back to the human being. And this is the opinion of who? Two scholars. What are their names? No. What are the two opinions? You guys are sleeping. What's going on? Qatada and Sufyan al-Thawri. Excellent. What is the second opinion? The second opinion is the opinion of Muhammad ibn Ka'ab al-Quradi. Make sure you all write down the names. You don't write down the names, you're going to be asked about the names. I'm going to ask you, for example, what is the opinion of Qatada in قول الله عز وجل وقول الله عز وجل وإنه على ذلك لشهيد. Alright? And if you say human beings, it's a problem. Right? You have to say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. نعم. وإنه لحب الخير لشديد. Alright, and he, in loving al-khair, he loves khair so much, يعني شديد, severely. What does khair mean here? What does it mean? Khair? Huh? Khair? You see why it's important to know a tafsir? Because khair, if you look at it, it means good. But here it's actually not good. Here it does not mean something that's good. Alright, what does it mean? There are two opinions amongst the scholars for al-khayr. Write this down. Two opinions. Naam. First opinion is that it means wealth. Al-mal. Alright? Al-mal. Wealth. And human beings, subhanAllah, naturally they just love money. Rarely would you see somebody that hates money. Alright? And subhanAllah, the person who doesn't like money is a person that is blessed. So somebody that's what? Somebody that's blooded. He doesn't care. As long as he's living life, his necessities are going through, he doesn't really care. But for most people, what's the case? They love money so much. Their motto is what? Their motto is 4 words. You ever heard of the 4-word motto? You guys know. Get rich or the 5-word, get rich or die trying. That's what they say, right? Right? You got to collect them what? The Benjamins, right? Allah musta'an, or the nuggets, as they say in the West Coast. Anyways, the first opinion is that it is al-mal. The human being just loves mal, to the point that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, and this used to be a verse in the Quran. Remember we took in Nasikh al-Mansukh, that this used to be a verse in the what? In the Quran. Alright, that if the son of Adam had two valleys, he would have wanted a what? لَبْتَغَى ثَالِثًا. He would have wanted a third valley. Just a human being, natural. Naam. And the second opinion has more relevance to the context. Here, al-khair meaning horses. You know, horses back in the day were the Lamborghinis, the Ferraris of the world, right? That's what it meant to have a horse, something huge, especially a fast horse, and especially if you're good at riding a horse, all right? In the Battle of Badr, 313 Muslims, all right, 313 people represented the Muslims. How many of the Muslims had horses? Only 2. Only 2. They say Ali ibn Abi Talib and Al-Miqdad, I believe it's Al-Miqdad ibn al-Aswad or Al-Miqdad ibn Amr. Ibn Amr was his dad. Or Zubayr, excellent. Al-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. Al-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam and Al-Miqdad ibn Amr or Al-Miqdad ibn al-Aswad. The only 2 guys that had horses. When the Quraysh had how many horses? 70. or over 100, right? Over 100. And the Muslims had 70 camels. And how much did they have? A lot. They had a lot of camels as well, right? More than they had horses. Muslims only had 2 horses though. A horse was something huge back in the day, right? Having a horse. How many of you guys own a horse? How many of you guys ever, been on a horse? All right? MashaAllah, I know a brother over there been on a horse for sure. Yeah. Go ride a horse overseas. Not over here. There's too many safety rules. Overseas though, they let you do whatever you want. Right? They let you do. I remember one time we went riding horses, and one brother fell off the horse. We were on a cliff too. It was very close. He fell off the horse. He almost fell off the cliff. Over there, overseas, they don't really care. Liability, insurance, none of that thing, none of that exists. Now, by the way, we don't. All right, and we're not responsible if anything happens if you do ride horses overseas. Now, so is this اختلاف تضاد or is this اختلاف تنوع? Mal and khayl, يعني mal, wealth or horses. The fact that human beings just is in love with horses or wealth. Is it اختلاف تنوع or اختلاف تضاد? Yes, نعم, تفضل. Excellent. تنوع. Why? Because horses are a form of wealth. Excellent. All right. نعم. So both meanings are correct. نعم. نعم. And the point is, what is the point of this verse? The point of this verse is to show that even though this love might be within you, you should try your best to what? To hold yourself against it too. To limit it as much as possible. Damage control, basically. All right. Be a zahid in the dunya. Be a zahid in the dunya. All right. Don't let it get to you. All right. Now, try your best to. Yani, if you can close the door of loving money, all right, then do so. If you know certain things make you wanna, make you basically blind about making money, or whatever it may be in terms of wealth, houses, cars, so on and so forth, then what do? Stay away from it as much as possible. If you don't go into that specific place or reading this book or watching that video or being around these type of people gets you, in love with the dunya and you forget about the akhirah, then stay away from those things. All right? And they say that the smart person is the one who invests in their future, right? That's what they say. Invest in your future. You always hear this. Invest in your future. You got to go to college. You got to graduate. You got to get a nice job. Then you got to retire nice, right? And then you got to do this, and then what? And then you're 6 feet under. And boring life, right? And then you're what? You're in hellfire. Right? What future did you invest into? All right, you invested into college, and then 4 years of exams and all this and all that, and then you invested in working 9 to 5. You're basically a slave for another employer, and then you were 20 years doing absolutely nothing, staying at a big house. All your kids are gone, or maybe you might be even in a retirement home. Allahu A'lam. And then you're hellfire. What a waste of a life. But what is the real investment of the future? In the akhirah. And today, subhanAllah, this morning we were discussing how if we looked at ajr as money, and subhanAllah, reciting one verse in the Quran, how much ajr can we get? Better, reciting one letter is how much? 10. Alif Lam Mim is how much? That's 30 right there. Imagine if you said Alif Lam Mim for 1 minute straight. How much ajr would you get? Thousands. Imagine if you said Alhamdulillah. How many letters is that? That's 8 letters. Alif Lam Ha Mim Da La 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 Ha. That's 8 letters, right? That's 80. Alhamdulillah. Repeat Alhamdulillah 10 times. You got 800. Repeat it 100 times. You got 8,000. $8,000 in your account. Imagine. 1 minute, you got $8,000 in your account. Just look at it. Every ajr that you do. Just imagine, guys. But do we have that mindset? We don't. Wallahu musta'an. May Allah protect us all. Alright, now. So this verse is basically showing us, is telling us to be a zahid in the dunya. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, أَفَلَا يَعْلَمُ إِذَا بُعْثِرَ مَا فِي الْقُبُورِ. Alright? This is similar to the verse that we took last week. Don't you know, oh poor human being, oh you miskeen, oh you faqir. Human beings that are arrogant are the most masakeen. The most masakeen of human beings are who? The arrogant ones. Alright? You poor human being, do you not know that everything that is in a grave will be what? Will be taken out. Everybody will be resurrected. And subhanAllah, those who believe, who deny resurrection, it's funny. When you ask them, where did you come from? You came from nothing. What's harder, coming from nothing or resurrection? Coming from nothing. If you're made from nothing, then resurrection is easy. Right? Wallahu al-musta'an. وَحُصِّلَ مَا فِي الصُّدُورِ. This is a scary verse. Wallahi, this is a scary verse. Just like the surah before. وَحُصِّلَ مَا فِي الصُّدُورِ. And everything that you do in secret will be in public display. Everything in your heart, imagine, everything that's within you is going to be what? Imagine having a huge flat screen, right? That's huge, humongous, as big as this building or this entire 7-acre whatever area. Imagine that big. All of you actually have this huge camera that the whole world can see of you committing a sin in secret, of what you're thinking. All right, whether it's thinking bad of someone or trying to plan something evil or whatever it may be, just something in your heart, but you never even actually, subhanallah, or you intended to do it but things stopped you. All right, imagine all of those matters are going to be what? In public. Everybody will see it. Don't you know that? Yani it's amazing, wallahi, subhanallah. We know all of this, yet we still sin. Wallahi, it's funny how the human being works, man. We know what's going to happen to us and we still do it. And we don't just do it, we keep on doing it and doing it and doing it. 2 hours ago, like right now, we're hearing this verse, right? Watch, some of us, 2 hours later, we're sinning. Better the minute we walk ahead of this room to go for break, we're going to be sinning. 2 minutes later, 5 minutes later. Allahumma musta'an. Inna rabbahum bihim yawma'idhin lakhabir. That indeed your Lord is the one who is all aware. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows everything. He knows everything and He's aware of everything. Alright? And like we mentioned last week, alright, just live life as if you have a camera on you. A camera is on you, tracking every single thing that you do, recording every single thing that you what? Not just say, but you think about. Just imagine that. Under surveillance, 24/7, 365 till the day you die. Alright? How would you react? You want to be the same. Done. Inshallah, we'll stop there. Inna Azza wa Jal. And continue next week with Tafseer. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.